29 hours. I've been awake 29 hours. I can't lie still. I toss and turn, hoping to find that sweet spot of comfort, the one spot I can lay my heavy head and let the day's troubles melt into the pillow. But I can't. I never can. The muscles in my legs tense, as if they're preparing to leap out of bed at any moment and run from an unforeseen danger. Of course, I listen to my muscle reaction more than the timid voice of logic buried within the catacombs of my mind. That nothing is lurking in the dark, so I nervously wait for an attack that will never happen but is always on the horizon. The room is close to pitch black, with just a low blinking light emanating from my charging phone on the floor, creating a mini beacon of hope reminding me to connect with the outside world, and the light I leave out in the hallway beyond my closed door, as if all life ends beyond the frame as you enter my room. Closing in on the 30th hour awake, my eyes are beginning to struggle with these minimal light sources, so I turn my back to the door, facing the wall, blanket pulled up to my eyes, knuckles turning white with my grip along the edge. Living alone, with no pets or family to speak of, you become one with your apartment. You know every sound, every creak, and every groan. This is essential for someone like me. I need that sense of control over things that, in reality, require no control. I need to have a sort of handle on everything, and only then can I even start to entertain the notion of a night's sleep. Some people see this as an illness or a weakness, but not me. I consider myself to have the edge over the average person. After all, when the inevitable happens, my body's been prepping for its fight or flight moment against whatever is coming for us all. You see, every doctor has diagnosed me with the same thing: anxiety disorder. And yes, I have every symptom in their book, I suppose. Yet there's one thing the doctors don't quite get about us, but we all have in common. It's not us who is afraid. It's not us seeing all these potential dangers and what-if scenarios keeping us awake at night. It's him. If you have anxiety, you know exactly who I'm on about. That voice, ever present, sometimes front and center in your mind, other times lurking in the shadows, only showing himself when you feel weak. He's real, you know. How could he not be? He thinks of things you would never dream of, sometimes insanely graphic accidents you potentially caused, or scenarios the writers of the best crime thrillers couldn't even think of.
Who are you talking to?
A voice emerges from the shadows of her mind. Great timing as always. I was just explaining to them who you are and what you do, she replied. See, that's the other thing. He's always asking questions.
Why did she say that?
And
I wonder what they think of you now.
Always keeping me on my toes and alert to how others perceive me and, in turn, how I think of myself. But yesterday was a tough day for both of us. My meds from 2 nights ago hit me harder than I expected, resulting in me missing my several morning alarms. This had a knock-on effect, causing me to be late for work and having to explain myself to my manager. The day was a tough day, as it was due to these factors, but it got worse on the way home. I think I hit somebody with my car. I left the work car park like normal, slightly flustered from the day I just had, but relatively okay. I headed down the street, took my usual route home, and pulled into my housing estate. As I rounded the corner, a kid shot out of nowhere chasing a bright red ball. I swerved into the other lane to avoid him as he stepped foot into the road, then back into my own lane. Hyperventilating, I pulled my car over to the curb. My heart beat so fast I could hear it resonating in my eardrums. My throat went dry, almost suffocating on the cotton wool feeling smothering my mouth. I looped the block. I needed to see the kid was okay if I was ever to call myself again. As I pulled back onto the housing estate for the second time, I slowed to an almost crawl, but no boy in sight. Frantically searching left and right in between cars as I drove, I couldn't see him anywhere. That's when I spotted it. The red ball, alone on the curb. After bursting into tears, throwing up in my mouth, and almost passing out from how fast my heart was beating, I made my way home, which was thankfully only a street away. I sat in my car, in the driver's seat, for what seemed like an eternity. If I leave my car, I can't go back. I can't somehow undo it, but at the same time, I can't drive over there again. What happens if I did hit him? I'd be returning to the scene of the crime. I can't do it. Oh God, I can't go to prison. What will the neighbors think? What will my boss think? What will my family think?
I'm sure you did do it, you know.
His voice cutting through my thoughts like a knife.
You killed that poor boy and left him for dead. That's worse than an accident. That's hit and run.
No, I panicked. I didn't mean to drive off. I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. The tears rolling down my face, around the tremors of my lower lip, falling and landing on my plain white shirt.
That's not how they will see it. Now, take yourself inside, turn on the local news, and wait it out.
Although he spoke with a calm tone most of the time, and authority, his words rarely failed to send me into a tailspin. The medication had sent him into a slumber for a week or two, but in the haste of the day, I hadn't taken my midday tablet, and now he was awake and taking control once more. So that's what I've been doing. I didn't go into work, I haven't slept, and I haven't eaten. I've had the TV and my radio on near full blast ever since I got home that day, not wanting to risk missing a breaking news story. My next door neighbor has banged on the wall a few times, telling me to turn it down, but I can't. I can't miss it. I need to know. Yes, my landlord may get a complaint, but by then, hopefully this will all be over. But the kid hasn't shown up on the news, so that's good, right? My train of thought is broken by a creak out in the hallway. My eyes shoot open, and I almost rip the blanket in two as I spin from facing the wall, eyes fixed on the thin strip of light seeping in under the door.
Oh, you are done for. That's the police, it has to be. They saw your car on the drive, and now they're coming to take you away. Well done. I bet your mom will be so fucking proud.
The disgust in his voice knocks the wind out of me.
Any second now. You're not even dressed. Pathetic. Stop crying and do something, won't you?
That last sentence echoed around my head. I would give anything for that timid voice of reason to gain some courage, to tell me everything will be okay. It's not what it seems. But no. Drowned amongst the panic, it can only sit by and watch from the recesses of my mind. The muscles in my legs tense again, but this time, I give in. No longer can I restrain them, like a wild horse filled with raw energy and instinct. I leap from my bed and throw on the closest clothes to me, eyes never leaving the gap between the door, waiting for a sign of life. Clutching up my phone, I kneel to put my shoes on.
The only way you're getting out of this is defending yourself. What happens if it isn't the police? What happens if it's an angry mob looking for street justice?
His words landed with a punch. I'd never considered that. With the police, you don't resist. You comply. But a mob, there is no reasoning with them. They're here for blood. Well, it's not mine they're having. A shadow crosses the doorway in the hall. My blood runs cold. Every hair stands on end, and the cold sweat is now trickling down my back. I had imagined people at my door for as long as I could remember. Each time he had warned me to stay vigilant. This time could be it, but it never came. This time, however, he was quiet, He was waiting. He knew something, just on the edge of consciousness. But I couldn't quite grasp if he knew something and just wasn't telling me. Beyond the side of my bed, just out of reach, I keep a kitchen knife for safety. Grasping it, I readied myself beyond the door in my dark, safe room. Hand poised on the door handle, primed to spring into action. The TV shut off in the living room. The radio shut off in the kitchen. The door handle turned. In a split second, I yanked the door open, and with a fury of swipes and frantic screams, I locked eyes with him. His were wide and afraid. The red mist of anger coated in the red gush of blood as I split an artery with my ferocious defense. As my screams subsided, his had only just begun. He fell to the floor, attempting to crawl towards the way out before his arm gave way and he landed with a thud. He didn't move again. As I regained my composure, the familiar feeling of my blood running cold coursed through my body as I looked at the devastation I had just caused. He wasn't a policeman. He wasn't a baying mob looking for blood. This was my sweet, caring landlord, the elderly gentleman who had many a time helped me with my issues and talked me down off the metaphorical ledge. And as I gazed at the note he had pinned to the outside of my front door, he was only calling round to see if I was okay and to turn down the TV to keep the neighbors happy. From the darkness of my mind, all I could make out was a low, self-satisfying laugh. The kind of laugh that if you close your eyes, you know is done through a sneer.
Now you need to run.